Hello, grade 3-4, Mrs. P again. All right, so we're moving on to pictographs. This is what the grade 4s were working on. As you can see, sometimes it's called picture graphing because we get to use a picture to show, instead of a bar, instead of an X or something like that, like in the line plots. Well, there we just use a symbol. Here we're going to use a symbol too, but we get to use maybe more of a picture to show how many there are of something. So what I had the grade 4s do was use some data about how many students are in each class in our school and turn it into a pictograph. So I've already got the data all written down, and we have lots of classes in our school. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Excuse me, and as you can see, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have room for 5. So what I could do, if I wanted, I could use a second pictograph sheet. Perhaps I'd fold it or cut it and I could just stick it on the bottom. That would only give me 10. I could also use a ruler and cut and draw to split it in half. But regardless, it's fine. I decided that we have 5 different grade groups, so I'm actually just going to choose one class from each grade to plot. So I'm going to use Miss Wait. I'll use, here we go. For 3-4, I'll use our class. We'll just pick a random one and pick around. There we go. Okay. So first I'll put my name, Mrs. P. And then if I'm looking at what I need, which I have written down here, I need a title. So as a title, I could put number of students in each class in SAE. Because that is exactly what I'm going to be showing on this graph. So number of students in each class at SAE. Notice my uppercase. So obviously I can't include all of them. In a proper pictograph I would, but for here I'm just going to use the 5. So the next thing I need is a consistent symbol. So one of the students in our class used was smiley faces. Actually, a few students did, and I actually like that idea because it's a good way to show that it's the face of somebody, right? Makes sense. So I think I'm going to use that. And then actually the next thing I need is a key or a legend. So that basically just tells us how many each picture is worth. And then I also need categories. And I think I'm actually going to start by filling in my categories first. So I'm going to use Miss W. And I'm going to put K in brackets. Miss R. Grade 1, 2. Miss R / Mrs. B. And I'll put 3-4 in brackets. Who do we pick? Ms. D, which is grade 5-6. And then Mrs. W, 7-8. All right, so just looking at this pictograph is going to make our school look small, but obviously it's not accurate for our entire school. Okay, so Mrs. W has 13 kids in her class. Ms. R has 19. We have 22. Ms. D has 18. Ms. W has 23. So those are the numbers that I'm working with now. So somehow, using pictures, I need to show how many how many students are in each of those classes. So one thing that I could do is I could draw, if there's 13 kids here, I could draw 13 smiley faces. If there's 19 kids, I could draw 19 smiley faces, or 18 smiley faces and 23 smiley faces. But the thing is that if you're looking at 23 smiley faces, it's going to take you a while to go 1, 2, 3, to count them all and to figure out that there is 23 there. So one thing that we talked about was instead of using a picture for 1, you can use a picture to mean more than 1. So some kids did, perhaps they drew their key 1 smiley face equals 2 students. Right? So then if you have 13, well, 13 divided by 2, that would be 6 remainder 1, right? Because 6 plus 6 is 12, and then you have 1 left over. So you could draw 6 smiley faces, and then for the 1, you could draw half a smiley face, right? That could show that it means 1. And actually, I like that idea of using a smiley face and of using it equals 2. I'm sure that we could use 1 smiley face equals 3 or 1 smiley face equals 4. It just depends. It depends on your preference. But if I'm looking at our numbers, like if we do our key as 1 smiley face equals 2, then we should be able to fit it all. Okay, so Mrs. W in kindergarten has 13, so we already decided I will need 12 smiley faces plus a half. So I'm going to try to do my best to make all the smiley faces the same size, and just so that they look the same. Oh, and I need to make my key first. Forgot. So sometimes you may find a key just in one of the corners. Usually there's a spot to put the key. For our purpose, I think I'll just put the key down here. And sometimes the key is also called a legend. So I'll put that in brackets. Okay, so 1 smiley face equals 2 students. We have to be specific. If I just wrote 2, I'm sure you could figure out that because our title gives us lots of information, you could figure out that it means 2 students, but we need to be specific that it means 2 students, not 2 apples. We don't know that. You can figure it out, but we need to be specific. Okay, so we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, now I'm going to do my best to do half a smiley. There, 13. Okay, all done. Mrs. R has 19. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and then 1 more for 19. Okay. Our class has 22. So automatically, I hope you know how many we need. We need 11. 22 divided by 2 is 11. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Okay, next is 18. So 18 divided by 2. It's a math fact. If we know doubles, we can do it. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. There we go. So that made 9 smileys. Okay, 23. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Oh, we need 23. 23. There we go. So that's pretty easy to read, considering if we drew 23 smileys, that would take me much longer, and it would take you much longer to count it. So it's easy just to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23. All right, so let's double check to make sure I have everything. I've got my title. I've got a consistent symbol. So our symbol that we chose was a smiley face. We have a key or a legend. We put that down there. Oops. And we have our categories. So these are our categories here. Those are different teachers. And it tells us what class they are to. So really, if we wanted to, we could combine the kindergarten classes, since we're talking about, maybe if we're talking about an age group, but we're talking about each class. So yeah. All right. Thank you for listening, grade 3-4. I hope you learned something. Please comment below what you learned.